Ian sleeps tonight. Imagine starting this stream with the song that's going to give you a hit of nostalgia, a little bit of a vibe, and trying to keep things upbeat because that is the mood we are feeling today. I hope you are doing well. Welcome to another edition of XFeed. If this is your first time tuning in, the title of the stream today, it's Crypto and NFTs for Dummies. I'm trying to put it in like the simplistic way possible because as I'm here, we're doing these shows. Part of it's obviously about, all right, well, how do you keep doing a show and try to get people that are interested in said show? Well, generally speaking, you got to follow a topic that people want to search, that they want to find more info on, and the less people that are talking about it, the better. Clearly, there's a lot of like big names within the crypto space. NFTs, it feels like, it's not necessarily all that crazy as we see Harry Swan coming on through. And thank you so much for reposting that stream. Good to see you, sir. I am feeling some sort of way. I really think that there's going to be the people that are remembered as, we were paying attention and partaking while things were happening, and those that are, I didn't really care to ever look into that stuff, blah. And that topic, I think, is around NFTs and crypto, similarly to what we've seen around AI. Now, to be transparent, when we're talking about the topics that we want to go and cover, part of me is thinking, hey, maybe I should show some of the behind the scenes tooling of me trying to mess around with certain AI software for videos within captions, understanding some different video programs. I'm getting ads all the time for different video type editing platforms and software. And I've said, you know what, screw it. Let's dive into the unknown here. Let me download these things. Let me try to mess around and see what I can do. And it's number one, it's really fun because a lot of the tools and things coming out nowadays are not meant or built without being extremely smooth, easy to understand, basically like beginner friendly. You don't need to know jack of squat, generally speaking, for a lot of the tools nowadays. And so it's fun seeing the different optionality and things you can do with one tool that you can't do with another. So part of me is thinking about doing content around that. And if you guys are interested, feel free to let me know, and absolutely going to do that. But the other reason that we're doing this stream is because it is a realm for you to get educated on certain things. And there was somebody that made a comment to me the other day that I thought was it was really funny, to be honest. They're like, I love your stream. You're really like unbiased about things, except for Silo. You bring that up a lot. And I'm like, all right, listen, if that's the worst that we do here, hell yeah. But we've covered different games, and not all of them have had the uptick. We've done a ton of different interviews, which we're going to highlight one of them in a second. Before, it was just me kind of doing them for fun, and now we got an entire show for RWA SegMints, which again, the link's in the description down below or in my bio on X. And as you can tell, we're going on a huge rant at the beginning of this. So grab a drink, sit down, hang out, start toasting a croissant. Have you guys had croissants? One thing that I do have to complain about is the fact that croissants, when you go to like the grocery stores, you can only buy them in bundles of like 10 to 15, and they're like bad extraordinarily quickly. So you're like, all right, I'm down to eat 20 croissants, but I have to eat them in like 48 hours, and that's probably not doable. It's probably not doable. Anyway, let's get into the show and everything else. Harry, thank you for coming through, and again, for sharing the screen. I am super happy because we've gotten 27 downloads in like 2 days on this. It's correct. Well, actually, hold on. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday. So this is like barely even 24 hours. Super, super pumped. Thank you guys so much for checking out the show. And I really think that it's interesting, right? We're not trying to push products or anything. We do mention what these individuals are working on in different capacities. Sometimes it's a little bit more in depth. Sometimes it's a little bit later in the show, so you kind of get an idea. Because if somebody talks about something, generally speaking, people want to have some kind of validity that the person that's talking about the topic at least has some sort of idea of what the hell they're talking about. True. So Travis John, who actually recently got a new role at the XDC network. The other stream, we highlighted how there was a platform where you could go and buy gift cards, right? I think it's called Coinsbee, that's on XDC, and you can go around and it's got like that real world connection, and it's crazy. So huge shout out to Travis for that. But things we go over in this particular episode is how to explain Web3 to people, because I mean, how the hell do you do that nowadays? Why people get hooked on crypto and stay in the industry, which lovely topic there. The hype and reality of token generating events. So this is a huge topic that we talked about yesterday on stream, and it was awesome to be able to kind of converse with Travis about that exact discussion because it's something that for new, older people coming in the space, there's so much questions, concerns, excitement around these token generating events. It's become the new NFT mint, essentially. And I'm saying this from the perspective of people that were really into NFTs before. For those that came over from like the NBA Top Shot sort of things, which I would argue a lot of us were kind of like normies in that time, we got introduced to a whole new world of crypto and self-custody and oh my god, there's all these protocols, and then there's all these chains that connect here and there, and then oh my god, all these brands are coming on the space, and where do we go? And we used to have it where it was just, all right, there's an NFT mint on Ethereum, and we would just participate in that. And then you branch out, you learn, hey, not only does that happen and happen on every single chain, there's protocols that are launching on different chains, and then the world is so expansive. So anyway, here's a quick clip from that podcast. Again, check the links down below if you're wanting to take a listen to this one. Here's Travis. So I want to keep with this trend of retail and feeling comfortable because I feel like it's a really important topic that we don't really look at that much. And when you look at some of the various headlines, and I'll read about 4 of them here. So Nasdaq files with the SEC to allow tokenization and blockchain listing of stocks. BlackRock apparently now holds roughly $100 billion in crypto assets. Binance has partnered with the 1.6 trillion asset manager Franklin Templeton to build, in quotes, a tailored digital asset initiative. Sol Strategy becomes first Solana treasury company to be approved for Nasdaq listing. And with all those ones, the big, again, overarching theme is that it feels like all of them are like, I mean, apart from the BlackRock just holding a lot of crypto, all those were about getting the attention of the mainstream financial world. And it suddenly feels like none of this stuff is being built for crypto participants, which it felt like that was the case several years ago. And now it is exclusively for the mass adoption side of things. When I say that out loud, that makes total sense because why wouldn't you want to focus on that? But do you think at all that like the crypto natives are getting left out with the focus being so much on that mainstream narrative, or does that even matter?
I mean, I think it matters. I think we've definitely lost the narrative of like the early cyberpunk aspect and, really the self-sovereign kind of way of thinking, because ultimately all these blockchains that are getting started in a lot of the corporate chains, I mean, they are all sequencer driven, meaning that they control the chain and you could freeze funds, you can turn things off, you can deny, obviously you're going to deny participants that don't qualify naturally, which that's always should be the case, right? But ultimately, I feel that this is still a net positive, but I think it's just kind of, the goalposts have moved from everything's decentralized, everyone's in control of everything, to you still have the choice, right? Like it's not like you're forced to use any of these services, but financial services itself, I mean, that's the key ingredient of those headlines you mentioned, and that's mostly where I nerd out is regulated financial products. And I think that ultimately, like thinking that regulated financial products are going to be a free for all to everybody is still a bit of a pipe dream, I think. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. So I'm full support of the way and the rails that are being built. It's just that those headlines are stealing a lot of the thunder. Naturally, there's still a lot of really exciting, decentralized, cyberpunk, fully decentralized type of applications and things happening. They're just not making the mainstream headlines, right?
So what do you go for? Do you go for the mainstream audience? Do you go for the crypto crowd? It's all about pivots. And I think that's going to be an overarching theme as we're going out today's show, trying to give a whole bunch of different perspectives. And stay with me if you're somebody, again, who's newer within the space, and why I keep saying, hey, we have to be kind of better, I don't know, Walmart greeters, if you will, to the wonderful industry of Web3 and help everybody understand what the hell is going on. So OpenSea is doing an NFT collective treasury of sorts, one that they're holding themselves, and then one that is for their big reward cycle to incentivize people to farm their points for their token generating event. And what happened yesterday, was everybody started highlighting that the NFTs OpenSea purchased for these things was coming from Blur. A little strange the one NFT marketplace is going and buying on not their marketplace. But of course, Adam Hollander is saying OpenSea aggregates listings from multiple marketplaces on our platform. If the cheapest item available happens to be a non-OpenSea listing, we might purchase it still using OpenSea. Point here was to optimize our fee-based reward funds to provide the most value back to our own assets. So these are the sort of things that happen that you'll say, oh, that's kind of a headline, or this is some kind of negative on that, and it's stupid engagement farming of sorts, but then, oh, okay, cool. So just the way the system behind the scenes work, that it just aggregates itself. So all these brands are coming on, and I've been told, we've looked at it on stream once, but apparently I don't know how big of a whale is, but Manga Larga in the Shillerverse Discord, apparently the guy is an absolute whale in Disney pins. So you might have friends that have houses, cars, maybe multiple cars that they don't even need. Maybe they go on vacation once every 3 months. But Manga Larga beats them all because he has got the Disney Pinnacle pins. True. That said, they have a new Cars Volume 2 drop that's happening. What sort of crowd is that going to onboard? And that's another question when we go through this. We've talked a little bit earlier about how people have entered the space through sort of a mainstream way in NBA Top Shot, and then after that kind of got, a little less interesting for a period, people branched off and was like, oh, this is something in Web3. What else is being offered within this industry? So do we have Disney Pinnacle, who now offers a free Disney Pinnacle collectible for having Disney Plus? I mean, we'll see. Different ways to onboard. And speaking of NBA Top Shot, they're dropping more Run It Back from 1970s. So if you're a fan way back then, or just want to see some of the crazy moments, a little bit of history, that is getting dropped soon. And then you look over, oh my goodness, Candy Digital for Major League Baseball. Are you a fan of the All-Stars? The All-Star game itself? Do you want to go ahead and collect some of the different collectibles to do that are, on blockchain rails that people are so afraid of? Well, you can do that. These big brands are here. On yesterday's stream, we brought up Gutter Cat Gang, and I had a weird thought after the stream, where, do you remember where you were when Gutter Cat Gang minted? I was in a parking lot of a Starbucks that was attached to, I think, a pharmacy, or it was a library. I can't really remember. And looking on Twitter, because it was Twitter at the time, and I was seeing Ben Jammin and other people just posting about how, oh my God, it said that Gutter Cat Gang, they're minting before, everything's wrong. Now. And I'm having this drink, I'm trying to hotspot off my phone and a laptop, and I remember all of it. I might even be able to pinpoint the parking spot I'm sitting in. And I made almost like a negative comment of, these guys have done Vegas events in person. They've sponsored a basketball team of a notable league. They've done a couple different stuff. And I use them as a negative when saying we've seen a lot of founders or teams acquire certain collections that have now gone on and run and done a lot of different things. And Gutter Cat Gangs have been bought and sold like 3 or 4 times, and it feels like nothing is sticking. They're launched on ordinals. It's whatever. But I had an epiphany. That's what we call it. And I realized, you know what? Technically, this is a historical NFT. We could make the case that how many people were back in the NFT minting phase of the craze in 2021 were out there minting this? Probably a lot. Probably like 3,000 to 10,000 people. And there's only like 10,000 of these. And obviously there's ebbs and flows and whatnot. But what if your perspective gets changed on all these collections and certain things? While Gutter Cat Gang is out and doing things, would it actually be better if the team was like, we're not doing anything with it, it's just classified as digital art? Or do people need to come through like this, what I'm doing right now, and say, that's what it is? Your perspective can end up getting changed very, very quickly. Where for the longest time, I'm like, I really think everything here on X, like it seems like the perfect platform where you can kind of post whatever. They still have limits within things. And then bam, I have to change my thought because I'm getting absolutely basted with bots. All the posts, everything I read. I'm somebody who half the time I don't want to watch the content. I want to see what all the comments say regarding it. And now it's all just being AI is the absolute freaking worst. Killa XBT. I'm not going to lie. I have never seen this much USDT printing ever. You already know I track it. Let's just say they printed the most USDT I have ever seen in 2 weeks this entire cycle. No shorts for me for the next 3 to 4 weeks. And then obviously we saw Jerome Powell got rates today, 25 basis points. Okay, cool. But stablecoins and all the money that's coming on chain. Remember, when all these stablecoins get minted, it's supposed to represent a physical dollar. That's why for real world assets, they have stablecoins really under that category. And so if there's just a whole lot more getting printed and brought on chain, should say minted, excuse me, not printed, just looking at that. What does that look like? And then there was a comment here that was showing in the past couple of days, and these are in like 2 to 3 day increments, maybe a little bit more. The amount minted, I'll just read that. $1 billion, $3 billion, $2 billion, $477 million, $1 billion, $1 billion, totaling for $4.4 billion. Very interesting. Very interesting. And when does the blockchain and crypto NFT, when do we just stop using that jargon? Because Illuvium, imagine you're scrolling the timeline, you're just, squat about crypto, and you can read this. Illuvium Battle Pass Season 1 is live. Rangers Arena just leveled up. For the first time ever, you can now progress through a Battle Pass packed with rewards, missions, and a Season 1 theme inspired by Brightland Steeps region. Okay, so far you have absolutely no idea this has anything to do with the thing they call blockchain. And then there's like rewards, raffle, XP. Again, still absolutely zero idea that anything here is happening within crypto. But you know, it's a battle pass, and a lot of normal games do battle passes. So I don't know what this is, but this almost makes me think, Garvis, holy smokes. Has it not been like a week or two since I've seen you? It's been a hot minute. Hope you're doing well. So imagine you're scrolling on your timeline, right? We're having like a little bit of a deja vu comparing the Illuvium thing here for a second. And you read almost 13,000 people have joined the wait list. Join soon before it closes. I don't know what this is, but I'm like sort of intrigued. So if you're somebody that's doing marketing out there, I guess we're going to scrap all like the specifics, just make everything super ambiguous. So I saved it for the stream here to look at because, all right, you got me. So it's Elevate, a private crypto network catered to give you an advantage. Join below to elevate your game. What? Okay, so the join soon thing. All right, listen, we can get away with that being ambiguous. What the hell does this mean that it's a private crypto network to give you an advantage? Like, we're going a little bit too far on the deep end on having to speculate. Where now I have to click on the website. Now we're only giving you straight two on that one, buddy. Pudgy Strategy has purchased Pudgy Penguins, number 1001. That's just the ID for the penguin. They haven't actually bought 1,000 of them. This marks our second penguin. We're just getting started. So I'm going to be honest. I woke up, started editing some stuff, around, you know what I mean? Had a good morning. Everything was good. Scrolling on the timeline, everyone is talking about this Pudgy Strategy. They're saying this is taking away from abstract. Liquidity is getting drained from it. I'm seeing posts that they're acquiring these things, and I'm like, what is going on? So is this the exact same thing that we're seeing on the side of CryptoPunks, where there's now like a token that you could buy the token, and then fees from that go from buying and then listing another NFT, and then if the NFT market goes up, then those coins are going to get burnt, and there's going to be a bought back, and there's just all this confusion. But people are making these tokens and funds to go buy NFTs. So, I mean, listen, we're all for it. And John Lemon, I didn't even realize this. We talked about Good Vibes Club doing the Telegram sticker launch over on Ton, which again, most people won't even know that has anything to do with crypto, but it does. And then I saw Mr. John here from Doge Pound saying, I was impressed to see our first collectible on Telegram sell out in just a few minutes. On-chain collectibles are still very much alive. What have we been highlighting every single freaking stream for the past little bit? Every brand, these collectibles, as soon as people say, you know what, I find value in it being digital, whether because I can show off to friends, I just, as people, we just like, you know what, the physical touch of collectibles and stuff is cool, but we have all these communities, we have ways to verify things, we have a way to show off to people, apart from, just posting on our social medias or whatever else for traditional things. I don't know. It's a massive change that's happening extraordinarily quickly. Luke making a comment saying moving chains or going multi-chain won't get you more users. So what we've seen over the past, I guess several years is a team that's been building a game that has then said, we are going over to this other network because of incentives from the team, because there's going to be more player base, because people are spending more even if they have like the same user, but whatever it is, a whole bunch of different reasons. But he's saying doing that won't get you more users. Okay. The issue is there are not enough paying users on any chain. The most successful Web3 native games last year did not make meaningful revenue. Web3 gaming only makes it is if we build for new audiences. They will not come to us. Web3 going... That last line I mucked up. Excuse me, let me reread it. Web3 gaming only makes it if we build for new audiences. They will not come to us. So the overarching theme on that is just saying, all right, we have to do something that's completely new to get people to be onboarded. And I mean, if we were going to look, and I keep making the reference of NBA Top Shot, but there's a platform you can buy basketball moments that are from an officially licensed league that has a lot of fans around the world. Like, all right, there got to be something there, right? We're saying the entirety of Web3 gaming right now is just not going to work because pivoting doesn't do anything, the games don't do anything, and the Web3 native games aren't making any money. I mean, holy smokes. We go from like feeling max bullish, excited to just getting whacked in the face. Holy smokes. So here's a story for you. Do you know the good game League of Legends? So there's a streamer in League of Legends that's called Tarzan, and the League of Legends streamer community is pretty popular. Like there is a lot of followers. If you were going to make content around something, you could absolutely do it here. And Tarzan's somebody who I've watched for a while, and I've made comments in his chat just passively about crypto because he'll randomly make comments about it. And he always jokes that I don't know if I don't even think he's joking, but he always talks about how he has property and that he's all in on crypto, and then talks about these random coins or some of the top ones. And I'm like, okay, interesting. So when I saw this on my timeline, I paused for a second and said, let me just read this right quickly. So this is a leaked direct message to Tarzan. Somebody says, hey, Tarzan, I have a 6-figure crypto opportunity for you if you're interested. And then Tarzan responds saying, what do you mean? Like scam my audience? Situationally aware. The person responds, no, it's not token creation. It's simply streaming on pump.fun for a few days. It's around the hype of the current meta in crypto, nothing to do with scamming. It's with the same guys that helped Bunny Fufu, who's made $250,000 in the last 3 days. So we've seen posts on the timeline of people making very bold claims, saying some of these top streamers, they're going to get completely onboarded from this. And my first reaction to that was, I don't know. Like, I feel like for the average person that's not well equipped within the crypto range of understanding any facet of it would just say, nah, it's probably too much of a brand risk, right? Feels like that's not really been the case. We've seen like a lot of people somewhat being open to it, to be totally honest. And so I was like, all right, I don't know. Like, I guess let me respond to this because I think that he's like sincerely asking about it. So I said, on my stream yesterday, I gave some quick thoughts, but the too long didn't read is people are giving funds to creators trying to get a 24/7 RuneScape stream running on that platform to promote their token. Now, reading that back, I'm like, I don't know if that really makes a whole lot of sense, but on pump.fun, one of the streams, they're trying to have people watch, buy this token. And the concept is just, we want a 24/7 RuneScape stream, which like, okay, that's like kind of cool, I suppose, but also it's not that bad, right? Like when we say it at like face value, don't realize there's just token involved. It's just, they want to help pay other creators that maybe aren't making anything, but they really want to dedicate themselves to the game, to trying to, make an income. Everybody's all about that, right? So that's okay. That's one valid point, I think. People know what they're getting into if they purchase a stream coin on Pump. You don't have much to lose doing it. If you're on pump.fun, like respectfully, you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like it's not some weird kind of, I'm going down here, I'm figuring things out. Maybe I can get lost. And yeah, it's not. People that are on that platform know. He could also reach a new audience for it. I mean, you imagine a bunch of like crazy crypto people. I mean, listen, that'd be not too bad of an audience. That's you guys right here. I love it, right? And just like personal take, I don't really see that there's that much downside for you personally, except for people being mad if your token performs badly after they bought. Because I mean, this guy's got like 1,000+ people that are viewing every stream. He's somebody that takes ads like all the time. And so like on his stream, he's got, hey, come download this game. We have X amount of people that we need to reach. And so, I just like the content. I get it. It's cool, right? And so like, sure, why don't you go out and do that? That's not that bad. Maybe you should give it a go. And then I realized, maybe this is more of a joke because there was somebody else in the League of Legends community that did it, got canceled, deleted all their socials, and is gone off of social media. So Yamato is a guy who is like an absolute character. You watch the stream for a minute and you'd be like, okay, this is a lot to handle. Very aggressive at points too. It's kind of funny. And so you can see that within the screenshot here, the Yamato's Death X handle is gone. And then Yamato's Death Soul is gone. So I guess that was the token that they decided to launch on Pump Fun. And then this next one here is a quote from Yamato Death saying, "You can check my coin. There hasn't been a pump or dump at all." Again, remember, this is somebody that does like League of Legends streaming, and you can see that, boom, it gets up there. And I'm assuming this is like market cap-ish. And so like at one point it hits 200,000 market cap, which, I mean, to have something that goes from 0 to valued at like 200,000 collectively is nuts, right? Especially for some League of Legends streamer. And then of course it crashes, burns, and dies. But like, that's actually nuts that it was able to go to those heights. And so compare that to my original reaction of like, I know that Tarzan is into crypto. I know that he does ads. I know that he would understand how to talk about it. And then we have Yamato doing it, who I don't know if that guy talks about crypto at all. I would not say that he's on the same maturity level as the other guy to like understand what they're getting into in that sense. And seeing this fall off, maybe this is completely performative too. You never know in these situations. Maybe this person's like, oh, I know everybody's going to talk about it on live streams and I'm going to get all this attention. Probably true, right? Like maybe a team's advising him on that. But we're seeing some weird things starting to happen. Jack Butcher, who's a big artist within Web3, doing a drop over on art blocks called Gas Wars. There is 499 of them, and the price changes over time. So if you were the first person to mint, you'll only have to pay $1. If you were the 499th person to mint, you will have to pay $499. Now, these are already at like almost 4,000 a pop. It was a crazy gas war, but the demand for those went nuts. And again, just digital art. Does this make you feel the same way that when we looked at like the Disney Pinnacle pins, or the Major League Baseball moments, or the run it back for NBA Top Show? What do you feel is your specific niche? Art, the sports collectible side of thing, a specific sport within that, a specific player. Everybody's got something different. Justin, the president's son, says crypto is a perfect hedge to real estate, which is going to get a lot of people going. But let me bring over to this other one that gives a little bit of a different perspective. Folks, this is why no one is buying houses, says Nick Gurley. Income growth is 21.9% since 2019. Okay, so income growth 21, basically 22%. Great. The mortgage cost growth is 91.9%. So as things go up, income's up like 22%. Mortgage cost is up 92%. Crazy work. Wishing I didn't spend all my Bitcoin on ordinals. So the stream theme of the day was a little bit kind of positioning, all right, if you're new within crypto, if you're new within NFTs, what we want to do on the stream is give you a perspective of every kind of facet. And one of the big ones is when people get into the space, you decide, all right, I'm going to buy a coin. And then a lot of people just end up holding that coin. But then also there's a lot of options where people realize, hey, you know what? I can take my Ethereum and I could go buy this NFT. I could go buy this network protocol token, yada, yada, yada. And so for Bitcoin, as they've come out with ordinal NFTs, which is just Bitcoin NFTs, essentially, what we saw before was a lot of people that used their Bitcoin, and let's say that it was at $60,000, $70,000 a couple months, year ago, whatever. And they purchased these different NFTs. And depending on what happened with the NFTs, they could say, hey, you know what? Look at this. My NFTs went up in value, so it was actually a really good thing that I spent my Bitcoin on it. Or on the flip side, the Bitcoin goes up to like 115,000, and then the NFTs you bought end up valueless or way less than whatever your amount that you ended up paying on. So that's something to note as well. And you see these ebbs and flows with NFTs and cryptos, and why we're seeing so much of an uptick all of a sudden on these NFT buying tokens that are like on these it's permissionless platforms, but it's like permissionless tokens. People making coins that are getting fees to then buy NFTs. If the NFTs go up, and then there's like this flywheel that goes back, and then those go up, and then if this goes down, it doesn't matter because it's like a hedge. And it's so much confusion about things. But the reason that all of that is happening is because the expectation is, all right, well, if collectively all the markets end up going up, these things are all going to end up providing an absolute ton of value. But you got to be careful, because you never know if you get into one thing and then, it doesn't do what you think. Would you wish that you just held the ecosystem token as a whole? Because right now, one of the main things when you go, and people and all these, centralized exchanges always push, all right, well, like here's the top ones, and they're like solidified. What if these ones are like pushed absolutely forever? These are the questions that we have to kind of say, all right, what does the market look like? And if these go up exponentially, suddenly do people try to get out of their NFTs to get into this? Or once crypto hits the market where they're like, all right, you know what? I don't know if I feel like this is going to go that much higher. I feel like I got some extra capital to spend. Let me go play in the trenches, if you will. So there's so much of an ebb and flow throughout everything. It's crazy. It's crazy to try to break it all down. And then another one here, token works. What in the halibut is this? So we have the Punks Reserve, we have the Pudgy Reserve, and then we have NFT Strategy. Is this the same thing as the other two, or something completely different? Introducing NFT Strategy, a perpetual machine for every NFT collection. Punk Strategy started as an art project and turned into a whole new token meta. It was bound to be forked, and we felt like we should create a way to launch our own while still being permissionless and safe for buyers. We also wanted to make sure each one strengthened the Punk Strategy token and also gave value back to project creators, artists that have slowly been cut off of royalties. So how it works. Every ERC 721 NFT collection can have a single NFT Strategy token deployed for it, 1-to-1. Fees pool up from trades, buy NFTs for that collection, and relist them at 1.2x whatever they bought them for. When the NFT sells, all of the ETH is used to buy and burn that NFT Strategy token. This continues forever. So the fee breakdown, because that's how all this makes sense or works. Right now, the Punk Strategy has a 10% trading fee with 8% going to the NFT accumulation pool. 1% to TokenWorks supporters, and 1% to TokenWorks team. NFT Strategy tokens will have a slightly different fee structure. Each will still have a 10% fee, with 8% going to the NFT accumulation pool, 1% will go to the collection owner as royalties, and 1% will be used to buy and burn the Punk Strategy token. So all this innovation, all this experimentation, is happening. And we get to cover it every single day. And how absolutely exciting is that? The market's picking back up. We had a little bit of a flush down. There's like some $100 million liquidated from the cryptocurrency market as Watcher Guru tweets out. Very interesting. But that's going to be it for this edition of XFeed. Again, we've been posting a ton of shorts if you're over on YouTube. Would love for you guys to check that out. And then, of course, the podcast as well. If you're wanting to hear different conversations with some of the best and brightest. And as I'm on that topic right quickly, obviously we have the episode with Travis John that just launched, but Jean-Michel, he is doing Grail Capital. Well, he's thinking there's going to be 100 million plus new art collectors. He's out there having a fund that they're getting NFTs, they're doing a whole bunch of stuff. And that was a recent episode as well. But thank you so much for tuning on in. I'll catch you tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace.